Hi, welcome back. I'm Doc Palmer. I'm the author of McGraw-Hill's best-selling reliability book, the Maintenance Planning and Scheduling Handbook, now in its fourth edition. Because the fundamental concepts of planning and scheduling are unusual, people just don't get it. But because of that, it's an opportunity for us to have a competitive edge. Instead of expecting perfect job plans to tell craftspersons how to do their job, we want to run a Deming cycle of making job plans better over the years. And instead of underloading the schedule to have high schedule compliance, we want to fully load schedules to defeat Parkinson's law. And we'll complete more work than normal, but we might have lower schedule compliance. But the objective of scheduling is to complete more work than we would normally complete. The objective of scheduling is not necessarily to have high schedule compliance. Those two concepts are what people miss, but that gives us a competitive edge. Today we're going to talk about the planning process itself, just how we would get a work order out of the backlog as planners and what we would do with that. So let me start here. The planner would find unplanned work orders in the computer system or the paper mailbox that are appropriate for that planner to work. The first thing the planner would do is note whether it's reactive or proactive. Obviously, priority 0, that would be an emergency work order, would go straight into lockout, tagout. The planner would be available to help if somebody calls. Hey, Doc, do we have any information on the boiler feed pump? And I would look in the computer to help that job in progress, even though the planners don't normally help work order and process. The 0 is all hands on deck. Well, the file says to make sure you have 2 gaskets, and here's the torque value. Thanks, Doc. So we would help 0's, emergencies in progress, if we are called for that. We wouldn't be going out there to look to provide that kind of help, though. And then on priority 1s, though, which are urgent by priority, 1 is emergency, 0 is an emergency, 2 is urgent, should not wait till next week. We don't want to let those bypass planning necessarily. What we want to do is check with the supervisor, because if they're not going to work it today, we could knock out a quick job plan that day, and then we're actually running the Deming cycle. We might see a priority 1, they're not going to do it today. We knock out a quick job plan. They work that job on Tuesday. We close that job on Wednesday. We're actually running the Deming cycle, planning a work order. You look in the file, well, not only do they need 2 gaskets, a longer ladder than they thought the last time, metric Allen wrenches are needed for this job. And that filter that we used to have in the job plan would work, but this is the correct filter we should be using. So you've added that stuff to the job plan. Maybe a better idea of the time estimate, because you've looked in the past to see what it's taken. So don't avoid running the Deming cycle on a reactive job if we're not going to do that job today. So check with the supervisor. Hey, John, looks like there's 3 new reactive priority 1s in the work order. There's a pump job, a valve job, and a motor job. You just completed the pump job. Okay. You're starting to work on the valve job today. Okay. How about the motor job? You don't think you're going to do it today? Okay, I'll knock out a job plan for that one. There's 2 issues going on. One is we want to run the Deming cycle on reactive work that they're not going to do today. The other is, as a planner, we don't want to waste our time planning jobs they're already going to be working on today. We don't want to tell the supervisor, well, look, it's a priority 1. You don't have to do it today. Because then you look like you're getting in the way of the supervisor. Supervisors are the keepers of the culture of the plant. They will remember the one time you told them to wait. They're going to interpret that as you made them wait. And they're going to get the whole planning thing shut down. Because we can work on all these jobs without maintenance planning. The genius of planning is we're a craft historian memory device. Next time we work on that job, let's remember all the things we wanted to remember and share that. We want to institutionalize knowledge across craftspersons. For that job, we've learned a lot of stuff. from different craftspersons. Let's apply that to the next work order. But if they're going to do it today, if they think they might do it today, don't knock out a job plan for it. Don't waste your time as a planner. A planner's worth 17 people. If they can make 30 people as productive as 47, we don't want it 17 people doing work that's not needed because they're already working on the job. So find the unplanned job in your area. If it looks reactive, check with the supervisor. Now, it might be a priority 2 routine job, routine high. It can wait till next week. But you have a feeling this is kind of a job that the supervisor might grab and assign it to somebody to go ahead and work. So if you have a feeling as a planner that it's reactive in that a supervisor might grab it, don't waste your time planning it till you check with a supervisor. Hey, there's this other valve job. It's a priority 2. Are you going to do that today? You are? Okay. Well, I won't plan that job. See, they might already be planning a job. Already executing a job. So if you think it looks reactive, check with the supervisor. If they're not going to do it today, knock out a quick job plan for that. And then minimal or extensive, I use those definitions a little bit different than you might see in industry. In industry, minimal maintenance is 2 hours or less, not going to need any spare parts, don't need a work order. No. We want people to write work orders for everything. Hang a bulletin board? Sure. The job plan will only be 1 helper, 1 bulletin board, 1 hour. Move some chemicals from one end of the plant to the other end of the plant? Well, sure. That's 1 mechanic, 1 forklift, 1 hour, 1 environmental form. We want to get people used to writing work orders for everything. If you have a policy that on a lot of things they don't need to write work orders, you'll find somebody out there changing a major control valve, using parts, using multiple people, taking an entire day. Well, we just thought we'd charge it off as a minimal maintenance work order, charge the time to the shop. And you're losing valuable history, which is the unforgivable sin. And you're not giving the planner a chance to plan the job and take advantage of what we learned in the past on that control valve. And you're encouraging us to underload the schedule. Well, Doc, we only load the schedule to 80% because a lot of our work is minimal maintenance. We don't need a work order. So no. Make people write a work order. Now, if they write a work order for hanging a bulletin board, we would call it minimal in that we don't expect a living job plan or a file. So if they're not going to do it today, but it looks minimal, don't waste your time looking for a job plan. Just write out, like bulletin board, 1 helper, 1 hour, and let it go. And then it can go into the schedule. We have a more credible schedule of real work, but don't bother searching for a job plan for like that, or don't make a living job plan for something like that. And then if it's extensive, it's not minimal. Extensive sounds bigger than it is. It might just be clearing a strainer where we would have a job plan. Check for the existing plan before you go out in the field. The plan might say we can use a high lift or a scissor lift. We don't need scaffolding, and you should not use just a ladder. Or it might say you can use a ladder. It's proper to use a ladder. You've figured that out already. And then you go out in the field. For a plant environment, a planner should try to put their hands on every job. If you can't find it, the mechanic's not going to be able to find it. We're trying to save time, save confusion. You go find the pressure gauge. It turns out it's kind of on the bottom of the feed water heater. It's kind of hard to find, so this is where it is. You do that. And you're out there in the field, and instead of deciding, I wonder if we can use scaffold. I wonder if we need scaffolding. I wonder if we can use a scissor lift. If you've already looked at the existing job plan, you don't have to stand out there wondering and ask a bunch of people a bunch of questions, because you did that in the past, or you see what a craftsperson has done in the past. So look for an existing job plan. Maybe look at the history if you don't have a job plan. And the time in the field is 2 and 6. For an 8-hour shift, a planner would spend 2 hours in the field. and 6 hours at their desk actually writing out the steps of our work order. I'm not saying for every job. I'm just saying for an 8-hour day, a planner would be in the field 2 hours and at their desk about 6 hours. That's the reverse of a first line supervisor. We want supervisors out in the field about 6 hours a day and only in their office about 2 hours a day. That's an easy way to remember those two. Then after we plan the job with the appropriate amount of time, allocating our time for how difficult the job is and how much time we have and how many work orders. Remember, a job plan should be as detailed as possible, subject to the constraint. You've got to plan all the work. If you have a lot of unplanned work, you're not going to put as much detail. But you have skilled craftspersons. Your job is to be running this Deming cycle on everything. If you only have fewer jobs in the unplanned backlog, you can spend more time on those jobs. Go ahead and try to put more steps to be helpful for the craftsperson. Then when you finish playing the job, we mark it in the computer as waiting to schedule. So, reactive work, check with the supervisor first. If it's extensive, check to see if you already have an existing job plan or look to see what we've done in the past. And then we want a field scope, if you can, if you're at a discrete plant site. Spend about 2 hours out in the field every day. These are rough averages over your week and your month and your time. And then about 6 hours at your desk, knocking out that job plan. Mark it as waiting to schedule. Not much there, just the kind of steps we go through. Check with the supervisors on reactive work. Don't waste your time planning this. So, thanks for letting me be part of your maintenance family, and I'm glad you're part of mine. That's my 2 cents. And you can check to see some of my past conference and magazine articles and notices of new public workshops and kind of what I do. Thanks again, and God bless.